Imagine 13 children trapped nearly 5 kilometers underground, whilst over 150 million liters of monsoon water flooded their only escape route. That's what happened on 23 June 2018, when what seemed like a harmless football celebration became the most complex cave rescue in modern history. But here's what few reports emphasized: this disaster was entirely preventable. 3 critical mistakes that day reveal why cave rescues fail, mistakes that also happen in British caves. The Wild Boars football team had just finished practice in northern Thailand. Coach X suggested celebrating at nearby Tham Luang Cave, a 10-kilometer limestone system and popular tourist spot. It seemed harmless, but 23 June falls in the heart of Thailand's monsoon season, when Tham Luang transforms from a tourist attraction into a deadly trap. Despite clear signs stating "do not enter during rainy season," they went in anyway. Why? Familiarity bred overconfidence. Ake had visited during the dry season before. This mirrors UK incidents closely. The Yorkshire Dales Rescue reports that 60% of cave emergencies involve people who have visited the same system before, becoming overconfident and ignoring changing conditions. As they left their bikes at the cave mouth at 3 p.m., rain had been falling for hours. In monsoon conditions, even light upstream rainfall can create catastrophic downstream flooding within minutes. Imagine Yorkshire's Ingleborough during heavy rain. Water from surrounding hills funnels through limestone, creating underground rivers rising by more than 30 feet per hour. Thailand's monsoon magnifies this tenfold. The mountains above Tham Luang funneled roughly 150 million liters directly into the boys' chambers. No communication plan, no expected return time, no emergency equipment, not even spare torch batteries. When the boys didn't return that evening, families assumed they were at sleepovers. Only the next morning, when all 13 failed to show up at school, did anyone realize something was wrong. They had already been trapped for 15 hours. This kind of communication failure can be deadly. In 2016, 4 experienced cavers died in Yorkshire's Mossdale Caverns, partly because backup protocols failed when surface conditions changed. By 4 p.m., just 1 hour after entering the main chamber was flooded. Rising water pushed the boys deeper inside as each exit route was cut off. Their only option was to follow Eke through narrow passages, searching for air pockets. They had no idea they would be trapped for 18 days in a space smaller than an average sitting room. When Thai authorities began their search on 24 June, they faced an unprecedented challenge. Tham Luang wasn't just flooded, it had become an underground river with currents strong enough to sweep away divers and their equipment. Initial rescue efforts followed standard protocols familiar to the Peak District: pumping water, searching for alternative entrances, drilling from above. All failed. Monsoon volumes rendered traditional approaches useless. Unlike British caves, often measured in hundreds of meters, this was miles of tropical monsoon chaos. By 27 June, international expertise was essential. British cave divers John Volanthen and Rick Stanton were chosen specifically for their UK cave experience. Why British divers? Britain has some of the world's most challenging underwater cave systems. Sites like Wookey Hole train divers to handle zero visibility, extreme cold, and unpredictable currents conditions almost identical to Tham Luang. For 9 agonizing days, teams battled 59 F water, zero visibility, and powerful currents. Days 3-4, Thai Navy SEALs forced back by currents. Days 5-6, pumping removed millions of liters, but barely lowered water levels. Days 7-8, over 30 alternative entrances explored, all dead ends. Families maintained a constant vigil outside. Imagine your child missing for more than a week, with experts quietly saying it looked hopeless. On 2 July Day 9, Volanthen and Stanton broke through to the Pattaya beach chamber, nearly 5 kilometers from the entrance. Their headlamps revealed 13 faces. First words, 13, 13, brilliant. But finding them alive created an even worse problem. How do you extract 13 non-divers through 3 miles of flooded passages that had nearly defeated world-class cave divers? Wait for monsoon to end 4 to 6 months. Medical experts said the boys, already showing malnutrition, had 2 to 3 weeks before serious complications. Teach them diving through passages so narrow divers removed equipment to squeeze through. Zero visibility. Strong currents. Youngest was 11 and couldn't swim. Alternative route over 40 attempts had already failed. The limestone mountain offered no drilling options. Australian anaesthetist Dr. Richard Harris proposed something unprecedented: sedate each boy into unconsciousness, then have expert divers carry them through the flooded passages. Medical risks were staggering. Ketamine doses had to be exact. Too little, panic and drowning. Too much, respiratory failure. Multiple underwater injections were required with precise timing. They were proposing to put children into medical comas and drag them underwater for hours. Any equipment failure, dose miscalculation, or navigation error meant certain death. The human cost began even before the attempt. Thai Navy SA A.L. Simon Coonan died on 6 July while placing emergency air cylinders, running out of oxygen on his return. Even elite military divers were being pushed beyond their limits. From 8-10 July, each boy was individually sedated, fitted with a full face mask, and guided by 2 elite divers through the flooded maze. The process was methodical but terrifying. Each child received ketamine in the dry chamber, then had diving gear fitted while sedated but conscious. 2 divers monitored breathing and buoyancy through underwater sections. At air pockets, British medics checked vital signs and administered additional sedative if needed. Margin for error, 0. On the final day, pumps holding back floodwater began to fail. Water levels rose rapidly. Everyone inside had only hours before the routes flooded again. The final extraction became a race against time. As the last boy reached the entrance, water surged into the passages they had just used. The operation succeeded, but Petty Officer Beirut Pakbara later died from an infection contracted during the rescue. 2 men gave their lives for 13 boys. 3 critical lessons. Familiarity breeds complacency. Previous safe experiences don't guarantee current safety. Always reassess risk, especially when weather changes. Communication is your lifeline. Tell someone exactly where you're going and when you'll return. In caves, approximately can kill. Respect seasonal warnings. They exist because others have died ignoring them. UK caves such as Dan Yor Ogof have become deadly during heavy rainfall, just like Tham Luang during monsoons. Most importantly, when traditional solutions fail, innovation and collaboration can achieve the impossible. British diving expertise, Australian medical knowledge, Thai local understanding, and international coordination produce solutions no single team could have developed alone. The 13 wild boars survived because hundreds of experts refused to accept hopelessness. Today, they are young adults, some studying in the UK and US, living proof that preparation, expertise, and courage can overcome impossible odds. If you've explored challenging environments, this story should resonate. What's the closest you've come to a situation where overconfidence or poor planning could have had serious consequences? Share your thoughts. Your experience might help others avoid similar risks. Subscribe for more stories where expert knowledge and split-second decisions made the difference between life and death. Because sometimes the difference between tragedy and triumph isn't luck, it's preparation meeting expertise when everything goes wrong.